2019 half-ton GMC here. I'm going to show you how to take the bumper off the truck to do your front end. Unfortunately, you got to take a lot of the truck loose to get there. The first thing you're going to do, we've taken it apart already. We're not going to make this video any longer than we have to. So we've kind of already taken it apart. We're going to show you how we did it. Your vehicle all together there, your fender flare is the first thing that you're going to have to pull loose, okay? This little fender flare, kind of left it this way too, and it's easier for you to see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 clips that got to come out first. There's little slots right there that they're going to pop out of. You're just going to have to sit there and start pulling out the bottom and work your way out with it. But when you do that, you need to have one hand on the plastic itself right here. Because we're going to show you in a little bit, there's another inner liner that's kind of like hot welds to this thing. And if you don't hold it, you can separate those by pulling that out. So you need to keep a hand on it and hold that. But you're going to pop it loose, and once you get to that clip right there, you got a bunch of series of other little clips that are on that thing too. But you don't want to necessarily pop them straight out. Once you get that out, you're going to pull straight down, because these little clips, there's an open area on the tops. That's how they put those little clips in from the top down. So once you get there, you just pull straight down, and it's going to peel back to almost where it starts going back to the other side right there. That's where you want to get to, because you need to get it out of the way, because you're going to have another little bolt right there that you got to get to. But once you get that out, the first thing next, what you need to do is you need to take, it's a star screwdriver, it's a 15 I believe. There's 3 little bolts that need to come out on this little velvet. One here, here, and another one right here that holds that inner fender well, velvet wheel well, whatever you want to call it, in there. You need to take those 3 out. The reason you do that is because there's that one bolt right here, which these are going to be 9/32, and then there's another bolt here and another bolt here that you have to get from inside the fender right there. But in order to get to it, I had to get that wheel well back, and you have to get back up in there with the 9/32 socket, or we actually used a nut driver. Here is what we used. We used the nut driver right there, okay? It is hard to get to. It's not as easy as it seems, but you got to get that screwdriver up in there and get those 2 bolts out, because it will not come out unless you do. Once you get those 2 little bolts out, which again was the 9/32, there was 2 of them right there, and they come out that direction. Once you get those out, then you got to pop this loose, okay? And like I said, we've got it loose already, but when you pull this, you start down here at the bottom. Don't pull just the outside cover. There's that whole, we're going to show you here in a minute again, there's that whole inner plastic part that you got to pull with it, because you don't want to break that loose from your outer part. That's what holds this together. You're going to pull the bottom, and it's going to pop loose, and you've got to pull and separate those little clips that were right there on the fender, and that's where you took your screws out. You got to pull that loose. And there's a whole series of little clips that just pull out, so you're just going to have to keep pulling, okay? And it's going to come around, and this part is actually going to stay right there, and you're going to pull that out. The best way to get this part out, we're going to show you these clips on the horses here in a minute, so you can see what we're doing. There's some little clips there that are pushed in. The best way to do it is stick your hand through there. If you got a little kid, somebody with the smallest hands, mine are a little fatter and it's harder for me to get to, but you can go back up in there and you can pull up on them clips, and you slowly work that thing out as you go. And there's a series of them. You can just keep working them out. The center 2, you're going to have to get through here. It is a little bit harder to get to, so if somebody's got a thinner hand than mine, it's not too bad to get to. Okay, once you start pulling those loose, this is going to stay there. This is probably one of the hardest ones right here to get out. Once I get some of that loose, there's a series of little clips too that got to be pulled out right there. You can start pulling out, and then this is going to stay. You almost got to get your fingers back there and pull straight out this way. And I'm going to show you on the horses again why we're doing that, okay? But you just got to pop all that loose, and there's really not a easier way to do it that I know of. That's just the way they put it together after they put the chrome bumper on. On the back side, I'll show you that in a little bit. There is the fog light right there. You're going to have to unplug that fog light, okay? I can show you right there. There's a little clip that you're going to have to push down, and then that plug just comes right off the fog light. So make sure you unplug the fog light. Have somebody else on the other side. You need to have somebody else helping you do this while you pop all this stuff loose, but we've already kind of done it. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to come over here to the cardboard, and I'm going to show you right here. This is that plastic that I'm talking about. If you pull this, just this part right here, instead of grabbing all of it, you're going to separate it. There's like some little hot weld rivet things in there right there that you're going to break loose, and you'd have to glue them back if you do that. So make sure you grab that whole thing, because I promise you, if you pull just that right there, you're going to break those little hot rivets loose, okay? There's your fog light that was plugged in right here. That one little glass piece at the top, this is the little eyelets. It's got all these little snap-in things there, but that's the one that's got to pull straight forward to come out, okay? So you're seeing what you got to do now. And these are all the ones that I say when you reach through the grill. I reach through the grill and you pull up on that little thing, because when it pushes in, there's a little catch under it. You lift up on it right there, and you just keep working it out one by one like that, okay? But that's what you got to do to get that off. And again, on this outside, just make sure you grab all that plastic, or you'll pop that loose right there, okay? So all this just snaps right back together once you get your chrome bumper off. Why we did all that is now you got to take, now let's just do the hood latch next. You're going to have to take this top off, because this chrome bumper's got to come off, because the bolts are up underneath that chrome bumper. There again, it's a 15 little star wrench. You're going to take you got to take your hood latch off, okay? You've already kind of got them loose. There's two of them, 2 screws there. Hood latch is going to come off. And we've already kind of started this too. There's some, oh, I don't know, there's usually about 8 or so around here, but there's some little dowels right there, and these little holes that got to be popped up. You pop those out, you can see how it's going to be down like that. You just put the screwdriver underneath there, and it's going to lift up, and then those things will pop out. You just take all those out, pull this up, get it out of your way. Then you're going to need a 10 millimeter. There's going to be 4 bolts here that hold that in right there. We've got one left in here. 10 millimeters. Again, there's going to be 4. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get those out, then you're going to come down here where that plastic covered it. You had a 10 millimeter on the outside right there. Okay. You have a 10 millimeter in the center. And you got to get the plastic off to get to those. That's why you got to get the plastic off, just to get the grill out. Take those out. And you're going to start at the bottom to get this grill off there. Okay, it just pops out. It's really not hard at all. But start with the bottom, and it's a lot easier than starting with the top to pop it out. And it just comes up like that. And you can see where you had these little clips. They're snapped in right there, and there's a few other little spots where it does the same thing. That's what you're popping out of there. So that's got your grill out. Set it to the side. And you got to do all of that just to get to your frame bolts for your bumper. They're up underneath this plastic. You're going to see your main bolt right there. You got to do all this just to get to those bolts, and then the other ones are up underneath. We're going to get that bumper off there, and we'll show you what other bolts to remove to get that bumper off. There's going to be another one just like that one that's straight up underneath. I believe that's 18. There's some little side braces on the side over here that you're going to get to that's got 15 millimeters in there that you got to take loose on there too. And you're going to have your wire harness right here that you can pop loose as that wire harness goes with the bumper. remember how to do that. I believe it's that little black thing right there that you punch down. If you get a little screwdriver, my fingers are a little bit too big to do that. You get a little screwdriver and you can push that down and it'll pop apart right there, but you got to pull that little thing out there first. I just need a little screwdriver to pop. There you go. And it's just like that. You just got to get it right and it'll push down and it'll come apart. Get that, and I'm going to show you a little more clear on which bolts to take loose once we get the bumper off of there, and we'll put it on the solvers. With the bumper out, this is that lower frame bolt that we're talking about that you need to get to. This was that upper one they did all the tearing the truck apart to get to, and that lower one right there needs to be gotten to. Those were the 18s. The side ones that we're talking about, the 15s, this is the bracket here. It's like a little stabilizer bracket that you need to take those out on. And these little things right here, there's two of them, one on each side. These have to be unbolted too. There's just one screw on each one of them that needs to be undone, and your bumper comes straight off. When you have sensors in your bumper, you're going to have to take your sensors out. They're going to remount into your front end replacement. What I do, check it out so you can see better. What I do is from the front side of the bumper, I'll take my finger and just put a little bit of pressure on that thing, and you'll work those things, and you'll put them little clips apart, because that little ear right there is actually in that little hole right there. So when it's pressed down in there, you'll pull it apart, and you kind of push one out, and then you go over there and just pull it. You turn the screwdriver and it pries it out like that, and then that sensor is going to pop out of there. You have a little harness that just unplugs on there, same little red clip. You pull the red clip back, push it down, and it just pulls straight off of there. This little sensor harness, or housing, sorry, comes out of the bumper. You're going to put that back into your front end replacement. You can see these little ears right there. Your chrome bumper is right inside there, so when you're doing it, you got to push them little ears. And again, I'm kind of pushing down as I do it, and I get one little ear pushed in and it comes out. Then you push one little ear and you push it down so they don't pop back in. The same thing on the other side. You do another one, you kind of push in that corner, and then you push the other one, and it just comes straight out of there. You're going to put that right back in your front end replacement. So you have to take all four sensors out, and that's how you can take those out, and then you're going to put them in your front end replacement. These little sensors do come out of the housings. There's a right and a wrong way to do it, so just make sure they come out, go back in the same way that you took them out. We can put them all back in the front end replacement like that. For your bottom brackets, we already got one on one side that you can see here. See how we did that. The other side we have not done. I'll kind of explain a little bit. You're going to take this little cap off. This little cap was on there like that. You got to take that cap off. You got to take your tow hook off. Unfortunately, you're going to lose it on here because you're not going to have enough room for the tow hook and the bracket. The bracket itself is going to go around the frame. You're going to use your tow hook bolt holes, so it's going to go around the frame there. Once you get that up there, we got these 1/2 by 1 3/4 bolts in there. Those are the ones you're going to use. You're going to have, it's got 4 holes. You're only going to use 3. But once you get your bolts in there, don't tighten them yet. Put them in there loosely once it goes around the frame. And this little plate right here is going to go inside the frame. There's a little triangular hole in there that you're going to put another one of these 1/2 by 1 3/4 bolts through. So you'll put that bolt up to the top, or if you want to, you can drop the bolt straight down if you want to. But that plate needs to go on the inside of the frame, and it just gives it more surface to grab a lot better, and it'll tighten down better. Okay, so your frame's going to be in between there. Once you get that up there, the first bolt you want to tighten actually is that vertical bolt right there, because that's going to help pull that bracket all the way up. And then you can tighten these guys here. One little hint there too is when you tighten your brackets, it doesn't matter whether the bracket's all the way back. There's not much play, but if you mack them all the way back, put both of them all the way back, or pull both of them all the way forward. That way you just don't get one all the way back and one all the way forward. It's only going to have like an 1/8 inch play. It's not much, but if you do that, that way both of them are the same. Okay, and once you get that bracket up there, then you're going to, and tightened up, you're going to put this little strap bracket on here. You see we kind of got one right here, that little pedestal that comes down inside the frame there, that's where that's going to go to. So you're going to put that bracket on there like that. If you got tow hooks, you can use your tow hook bolt that goes all the way through there. If not, we've got a bolt in the kit that's provided for that. Okay, and you can kind of let that hang down for a little bit, but once you get your front end up there, then you put this front one on. You you're going to have the shoe on the front end, this bracket, that bracket, so you just wait until you get it all up there and you get them lined up with each other. And then you can use your 1/2 by 1 3/4 bolts to do that. And that's pretty much the install for the bottom brackets. To mount your upper brackets, you can see on this side we've got the upper bracket mounted already. This outside bottom bolt there on your frame cap, you're just going to take it out. It's a 15 millimeter. And you're going to put that bracket on there before you get the front end up there. You don't want to completely tighten it though. You need to just leave it a little bit loose until you get the front end up there in case it's got to be moved around a little bit here or there. But it's a lot easier at least getting the bolt out and getting your bracket on there before you put the front end up there. It just gives you more room. You can see we got the truck back together. Before you put your front end on there, you need to put all your truck back together like we explained, to take it apart. Just go backwards and get it all back together. But then you're ready to put the front end on. You see we got the front end up there now. We had a couple guys help us hang it. You got your mounting brackets that we showed you how to put on, go to the bottom shoes on the front end there, and we use 1/2 by 1 3/4 bolts that's in your bolt bag to mount that. Get that up there and get some bolts in it loose with a couple guys, and then once that's up there you can get a jack underneath in and you can jack it up and you can raise this thing up to your destination right there. And we get back and what we do is we eyeball the loop to the fender on each side of the vehicle. You can get back and make this little center right here with your rear view mirror and back up, and you can make sure it's the same, because if you get off to one side or the other, you can't quite get the visual alignment on that thing right there. Once that's right side to, or up and down, side to side, just take a tape measure and you can measure from the light to the loop there. Just make sure you hit the light in the same spot, and that'll get your side to side on there. Once that's upright, side to side, up and down, you can tighten all the bolts up underneath. And you can also see where we already got the sensors in there too. We showed you how to take them out of the factory bumper, and you just put them right back in the Frontier bumper, just like they came out of the factory bumper. That'll be the install to the 19 GMC front end.